Right. I think that probably helped increase the confidence of scouts to see that he has this sort of depth in his role because I think it's pretty clear that he could block shots. I mean, I think two things. Again, I'm not familiar too much with college basketball, so this is why I really want to get the perspective here. It's a couple of things stand out to me just even looking at the box scores. Like number one, he shot 35% from the free throw line in his freshman year. Now, of course, that was a small sample.
Yep.
7 for 20 is.
Yep.
I mean, come on, you can't really judge that. But it seems like he really did make a big jump because the last season that he could play for you guys, 73% as a big man, and he got to the free throw line enough times too. Can you describe sort of the work that he's put into that area of his game, and maybe even just speak to the jumper overall?
Yeah, no, for sure. He had an opportunity his freshman year to make 2 free throws to beat Oregon. If he made one, we would have tied and gone to double overtime, and he missed them both.
Man.
And Christian's the type of kid where he doesn't get down and depressed after something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He gets down and fired up, and he wanted to get right back in the gym the next day and work on his free throws. It's something that he worked on every day that he was here. And then his free throw line to elbow jumper to top of the key jumper came along really well. It almost reminds me, and I was in Denver with the Nuggets with a former Raptor, a Raptor great, Marcus Camby.
Yep.
Christian's jumper kind of reminds me of Marcus. He's got that free throw line, top of the key jumper down right now. And I think over time he'll be able to extend it out to 3. He's shown a willingness to work and get it better. His freshman year, even his sophomore year to a certain extent, if he was taking a jump shot on the bench, we were having a heart attack. This year, we almost were telling him, hey, man, if they're not going to guard you out there because they're sinking in on our other bigs, you got to make them pay. And so I think you saw that confidence grow. He put in a ton of work, and he's got good touch from the perimeter, just like around the rim. So I think his skill level on the offensive end has certainly jumped off the page to me over the course of the last year.
Right, and I think it took a lot of people by surprise because I believe at the combine there was a shooting drill and his name popped up. I think he was second in the drill where he hit 16 of 25 from 3. Now I don't know if these were contested. I don't know what the specific drill was, but I think there was optimism there because I think in terms of the scouting where people would probably still say that that's something where it's emerging. But have you seen? I mean, it sounds good that there are signs of this growth from him. Do you see any of the issue potentially in him stretching it out to the 3-point line? Because obviously in the NBA nowadays, like almost nobody shoots mid-range jumpers in that fashion anymore. But
right,
if that's the key, can he stretch it out to 3? In your opinion?
I think he eventually can. Yes, I mean I was here at Arizona for 4 years with Channing Frye, and Channing Frye I think made 1 3 in his college career, and then ended up becoming one of the most prolific shooting big men that the NBA's ever had. So I'm not saying that he's going to beat Channing Frye, but I certainly have seen it, and I've worked out with Christian enough to see his touch and the feel he has from the perimeter. He will be able to extend it out to 3. Will it be his rookie year or later on in his second year? I can't answer that, but I do believe that he has that within his game. But I also know that part of the great benefit that Christian is if he's setting screens, he's amazing as a roll guy. He can short roll and make plays out of there. He's a much better passer and ball handler than people give him credit for, and we put our bigs in a lot of those situations. So it's not like he's only going to be a stand still, catch and shoot 3-point shooter. I think Christian can do a lot of things on the offensive end.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting to hear for sure. Now, I think for fans and even for scouts, the one thing that's probably really hard for people to see is like what they are like behind the scenes, what they are as a teammate, how they work. So, can you speak to a little bit of that? How was he as a teammate? Because even as a freshman, I imagine he didn't play all that much. How did he handle not playing all that much? And just was he what was his attitude like? Just as someone to work with as a person.
Yeah, Toronto, the city of Toronto. Take Christian, the basketball player, out of it. The city of Toronto is blessed to have a guy of his character and stature come into their city. I mean, Christian's as good of a person as I've been around, and I've been around the game of basketball at a pretty high level for over 20 years now. He's an amazing human being. He's the youngest in his family, the only son with 5 older sisters, which pretty much means he had 6 moms growing up. So he can take orders and coaching.
That's a good man.
But he's fantastic in the locker room. I mean, everyone on the team was his friend. When it got down to business and he had to be tough and competitive, he certainly could do that. But he walks in every day with a smile on his face. And he's a big football fan, and I say like football, like European football.
Yeah.
He's a big Barcelona fan, loves Messi, does not like PSG very much, so I would throw that in his face a lot.
Okay.
But he's a great guy to have in the locker room and just a great human being.
No, that sounds amazing, and it's good to hear because I know the Raptors have really valued like um, the culture that they have built as an organization, as a team. Because I think, especially now when you're thinking about, you could trade the whole team for Kevin Durant, for example, and it's like, not saying Kevin Durant doesn't fit culture or anything like that, but it's just like the Raptors specifically value having these type of characters, these type of people in the organization who will work because there's a culture to improve, and I feel like he even just based on his accolades, right, winning most improved player, it's like these are really positive traits that I think will fit the locker room really nicely.